We see the headlines, lawsuits, monopolies, but never the actual mechanics. This is EconWorks, where law, power, and markets collide. Today, the Apple tax and what it reveals about our economy. Let's get into it.
If you've got an iPhone, you know the App Store. It's how you get, well, everything. From your favorite games to your banking app. It feels like this wide open universe, right? But have you ever really stopped to think about who's standing at the front door? Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and look at Apple's role as the ultimate gatekeeper of its massive digital world.
See, for any developer out there who wants to get their app onto your phone, there is literally only one way in, and that's through the App Store. Apple controls the only authorized way to do this, which, as you can imagine, puts them in an unbelievably powerful spot. You've probably heard this whole setup called a walled garden, and it's a perfect description. It's this closed ecosystem where the owner, Apple in this case, gets to make all the rules for who gets in and how they have to behave once they're inside.
And for developers, there are no other options. None. They can't just put their app on a website for you to download directly. If they want to reach the millions and millions of people using iPhones, they have absolutely no choice but to go through Apple and play by their rules.
Okay, so what are these rules? Well, Apple has this whole set of policies, what you could call platform governance, that lays out a very specific, mandatory process for every single developer. All right, so here's how it works. First, a developer submits their app for review. It has to follow a really long list of guidelines. Then, and this is a big one, for most digital stuff, like subscriptions or in-game items, they have to use Apple's own payment system. And the kicker, they have to pay Apple a commission, often as high as 30% on every single one of those sales. If they don't comply, they can just be shut out completely. Now here's where it gets really isn't just some neutral referee blowing the whistle and making sure everyone plays fair. They're also a player on the exact same field competing head-to-head with the developers they're supposed to be governing. Think about it. Apple Music is competing directly with Spotify. Apple TV Plus is going up against Netflix. Apple Pay competes with other payment apps. This strange dual role, being both the ref and a star player, is right at the heart of all the antitrust conversations happening right now. And look, these rules don't just exist in some policy document. They have a real, powerful impact on competition. They can literally decide which apps take off, which ones barely survive, and maybe even which ones never get created in the first place. So when you hear about that 30% commission, it's pretty easy to just think of it as a tax, right? Maybe it makes your subscription a little more expensive, no big deal. But its impact, oh, it goes so much deeper than that. It's like a chain reaction. And this diagram here, it tells a really powerful story about how one single rule, that commission, can totally reshape an entire market. It all starts right here. Let's take a service like Spotify. That commission isn't just a one-time fee. It's an added cost for every single new subscriber they sign up through the App Store. It's a recurring hit on every sale. So with that extra cost, developers are kind of stuck. They can either eat the cost and make less money, or they can pass it along to you, the consumer, by raising their prices. This is exactly why you might sometimes see different prices for the same service depending on where you sign up. But here's the really crucial part. For a new startup, some small developer with a brilliant idea, that 30% cut can make their entire business model fall apart. It's this massive barrier to entry that can just snuff out competition before it even has a chance to start. It means amazing apps we might have loved, they just never see the light of day. And this brings us right to the core of the whole antitrust argument. When regulators talk about consumer harm, they don't just mean you paying $1 more for an app. They're talking about the bigger picture, the damage from less competition, which leads to slower innovation for everyone and just fewer choices for all of us. And other rules can create this thing called user lock-in. By limiting how well different apps can talk to each other, it just becomes harder for you to switch. Say you buy a new smartwatch from a competitor, but it doesn't sync up perfectly with your iPhone's health and messaging apps. Well, you're probably less likely to keep it, right? And that just reinforces the power of the big, established players. So if we zoom all the way out, this is so much more than just a fight between a few giant companies. The outcome of these legal battles could have massive consequences for the whole digital economy. This quote right here nails the fundamental question. Should a company that owns the entire marketplace also get to write the rules for its own rivals? Rivals who need that marketplace to even exist. And that gets to the very heart of it. In the physical world, companies compete on things like price or quality. But in these digital worlds, competition is also about the rules set by the platform owner.
the game itself can be tilted in their favor from the very beginning. At the end of the day, this entire complex debate really boils down to one simple, incredibly powerful question. As more and more of our lives happen on these platforms, figuring out who gets to write the rules and how they get to write them is probably one of the most important conversations of our time.
Thanks for watching. If you want to see the economics and the full technical analysis behind these topics, join us at econworks.com. Subscribe to stay informed on where the law meets the market. We'll see you in the next breakdown.